Hello, my darling Fumi Nation. How are you? How are we? My name is Fumidesaluvold. For those of you that are stopping by for the very first time, you are so very welcome indeed, my darlings. I'm going to jump right into it because today is Saturday and I had plans. I really did. But Fumi Nation came into my DMs and this just had to be addressed ASAP. I will tell you where the kimono is from. It's from Regina. You know, Regina was the one that gave me those beautiful kaftans that I wore in New York City, the pink and the yellow. Homegirl is fabulous, and like I said, bring your designs and I will wear them. I just love. And if you want to bring your designs, send me the website, let me pick what I like, because then I'll wear it and then I'll make it look like $1 million. And everybody will fall in love with you. Okie dokie. Let me start from the tippy. On Valentine's Day, when Ula and I were having fabulous lunch, I was keeping tabs on the Justin Baldoni and the Blake Lively saga. And a Hollywood Reporter had released this article, of which Justin Baldoni's former agent, which is William Morris Endeavor, known as WME's agent, ARI, had made a derogatory statement. I didn't like it at all. Justin is of Italian heritage. And so when he said Baldoni, baloney, I personally took offense. I've been to Italy many times. And I love Italians. I love your culture. If you ever eat pizza in Italy, you'll never ever eat it anywhere in the world again. There's just nothing like it. Love Italians. Love. They are my Nigerian brothers and sisters. I've said it on the channel before. We get along. Their mentality, we love it. And we consider them white Nigerians. Having said that, Ari Emmanuel is also the CEO of WME and also the agent and representation for Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. Now, Justin Baldoni had put in his lawsuit that he got fired from his agency as a result of what had happened, as a result of Blake Lively. It was in his lawsuit, of course, because of the charges that Blake had accused him of, and it was in the New York Times. So I was not a fan of whom? I was not a fan of Ari. And I was very curious to listen to the podcast. He had gone on to a podcast called Freakonomics, and it was supposed to be released further down. Are you with me? Yeah? Okay. Well, the host of Freakonomics released a video on YouTube of where we would have all been able to watch the podcast of Ari Emmanuel. Well, the host came out with this.
How unpredictable. Once in a while, something happens that is so outlandish that you never even considered it possible. Nassim Taleb calls this a black swan event. In my case, I'm going to call it... Actually, I don't know what to call it yet. Maybe you can help me name it. Let me explain. Last Thursday, on February 13th, we were scheduled to do a live Freakonomics radio show at the Wilshire Ebell Theater in Los Angeles. Now, a live show for us is both rare and atypical because the episodes we put out here every week are very much not live. They are the product of many hours of research and recorded interviews and editing and mixing and so on. And that's the way we like it. That's the kind of show I like to make. But every now and again, we decide to put on a live show in a theater with an audience, and we record that show to make a podcast episode for later. It's not going to have the depth or the flow of a regular episode, but there is something thrilling about the live setting. The interviews that you're not really sure where they're going to go, the response from the audience that you can't predict, and of course, any number of strange things that might happen when you try to do something that resembles show business. Coming into this LA show, we felt pretty good. We had two excellent guests lined up. Ari Emmanuel, the super agent and CEO of Endeavor, who was also the model for Ari Gold from the TV show Entourage. And we had the award-winning filmmaker R.J. Cutler, who got his start on the Clinton campaign documentary, The War Room, and who's been making excellent documentaries ever since, including a recent one about Martha Stewart. We also had Luis Guerra, who composes and performs a lot of the music you hear on this show. He had put together a live band for the evening, which I was definitely looking forward to. I love Luis and his music, and he has a network of musicians that is amazing. Now, I'm not going to say the mood before the show was buoyant exactly. Los Angeles had, of course, been hit by those terrible, fatal wildfires, and now it was cold and raining hard. When I got to the theater around 4 p.m. for sound check, the wind was whipping. It felt like a monsoon outside. Plus, there are jitters always with a live show, but we were excited, and we were excited to have a sellout crowd. The sound check went fine, and then I rehearsed some cues with the band. They sounded great, no problems whatsoever. I started my final prep, which mostly consists of sitting somewhere alone, going over my notes. For a show like this, I write a short monologue. In this case, it was about how LA and New York may look like such different places, but how they have a lot in common. They're both places where people come to invent themselves or reinvent themselves. I always think the great line from E.B. White, no one should come to New York to live unless he is willing to be lucky. And I would argue the same is very much true for Los Angeles. So I'm going over my monologue notes, going over my notes for the ARI and RJ interviews, and then ARI arrives early. He is always early. I recently heard a story about a Zoom meeting that someone had with him that was supposed to start at 2:30. And by the time they joined at 2:30, ARI had come and gone and the meeting was over. For tonight, he had promised us 40 minutes on stage, but with a hard out. He had a plane waiting to take him to New York for the Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary celebrations. So anyway, ARI gets to the theater early. He's backstage. He is incredibly fun and interesting to talk to, a total live wire. It is true that some people are intimidated by him. He was recently voted the most feared agent in Hollywood. Big surprise. Anyway, then RJ Cutler shows up. Totally different energy from ARI, less rat-a-tat, but obviously lovely. And the two of them are getting along nicely, which is not a bad thing for me. So I'm feeling good. And then I notice something strange. The theater is quiet. By now, the doors should be open. The audience should be settling in. And our pre-show playlist should be playing. I'd put this one together myself. There was some Thelonious Monk, some Arcade Fire, a piece from Handel's Messiah, long story, and also some music specific to tonight's guests. For RJ, we're playing Young Gravy's Martha Stewart and Ocean Eyes by Billie Eilish. RJ made a great film about Billie called The World's a Little Blurry. And for ARI, we're playing Superhero by Jane's Addiction. That was the theme song from Entourage. At least we're supposed to be playing all those songs. Instead, there is no sound coming out of the speakers. And then when I look out from behind the curtain, I see there are no people in the seats either. So what's happening? It turns out that the theater's PA system had crashed. We had been told earlier that it was a new system, state of the art, but, well, I don't know what happened. The next hour was pretty chaotic. The microphones aren't working, speakers aren't working, keyboard player can't get any sound out of his keyboard setup. There's a grand piano backstage, and we start trying to wheel it out onto the stage, but it's missing a wheel, so that doesn't work. Meanwhile, Ari Emanuel, the most famous agent in show business, is waiting backstage. What the f*** are these people doing? He's saying. We're getting close to showtime. The theater is still empty. It turns out they didn't want to let anyone in while they're trying to fix the PA system. As I later learned, some ticket holders were left standing outside in the cold rain. Finally, they opened the doors and people started filling the seats. We still didn't have a PA system. At some point, I take the stage to speak with the crowd, and people see me. They start clapping. They think the show is starting. And I announce as loudly as I can that no, the show's not starting yet. We don't have a sound system. And then I ask people in the back rows of the balcony if they can hear me without mics, and they shout, yes, they can. So that's a good sign. I mean, these old theaters were built before amplification, so maybe we can pull it off without mics. Ari, meanwhile, is getting even antsier backstage. He says, let's just do it without mics. I can shout. So that's the new plan. We're going to do the show as best as we can without a PA system. The band is getting ready, still no mics, still no keyboards, and I have no idea if the video clips we had planned to play during the show are going to work. And then suddenly, the system starts working again, at least partially. By now, it's way past the scheduled start time. So we hustle up, we wish each other good luck, and we start the show. The monologue goes pretty well. And then I introduce Ari. He comes out, and we have a pretty sassy conversation. Covers everything from Donald Trump to Elon Musk to OpenAI to the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni mess, and a lot more. He stays for nearly an hour. He's a real pro and a good sport. And then I do a quick AMA, an Ask Me Anything, with a member of the audience named Christina. She asks me how I came up with the sign-off for this show. Take care of yourself, and if you can, someone else too. It is a question I wasn't expecting, and I tear up as I tell the story because I started using that sign-off pretty early in the pandemic. My wife had been very sick with COVID, and we hadn't been sure that she would recover, but she did, and that line just came to me like when you're writing a line to a song, and it stuck. After the AMA, we bring out RJ Cutler, and he's just great, thoughtful and personal. He's telling great stories about himself and all the people he has embedded himself with over the years. We play some clips from his films, and even that works out okay. So I finish up with RJ. We say some thank yous, and then we say goodnight. The audience claps. They seem to enjoy it, although I couldn't really tell how good the show was. Live shows are always a bit of a blur, but this one even more so because of the circumstances. It struck me as a bit of a miracle that the show ended up happening at all. So we hang out for a little bit more at the theater, and then we go to a little after party, mostly friends and family, maybe 40, 50 folks, including my daughter who just moved to LA last year after college. Honestly, she was a big reason I wanted to do a show out here in the first place. So we're eating, we're drinking, we're laughing now about how close we came to having no show at all. And that's when our excellent editor, Ellen Frankman, comes up to me with a look on her face that I couldn't quite figure out. In retrospect, she looked really ill. She was shaky, her face was pale. So I ask her, what's wrong? And she tells me that in addition to the audio failures we had earlier, there was another even bigger failure. The show had not been recorded, she says. And I didn't understand. I asked her to repeat herself. She said, they didn't record the show. And I still didn't quite understand. I mean, I've been recording stuff for many years now. I was a musician and I used to work in all kinds of studios. I was a reporter and used to record all kinds of interviews. I've been doing this show now for 15 years. We've recorded thousands of studio and live interviews, many other things. And not once have the people responsible for recording just failed to record it. But tonight, that's apparently what happened. I am pretty sure we did do a live show with Ari Emanuel and RJ Cutler and Luis Guerra's band and Christina from the audience, but there's no recording of it, so I'm not really sure. The next several hours were even more of a blur than the hour before the show. We thought about trying to partner with RJ Cutler to make a forensic documentary of the show, trying to recreate it as best as we could. Some friends who had been in the audience had already started sending in bits of video and audio they had recorded. At least one journalist had recorded the entire Ari Emanuel interview, but it's iPhone on the lap quality, not radio quality. So we ditched that recreation idea.
Did I believe him? Yes, I did. Because I've been on sets my entire life, and I have been on YouTube here for just about over 10 years. And we have had glitches where we have filmed without any audio. We thought we were filming, but we actually turned the camera off. So I absolutely believed him. The one time when everything should be perfect and you walk onto the red carpet, that's when your dress whips. The one time you've done all of the rehearsals and you're about to go on for a performance and your dress whips. It's happened many a time. I believed him. I believed the tone. I believed the sincerity of it. Well, we have the wonderful citizen journalist on X, which is formerly known as Twitter. Well, she was able to get in touch with a journalist who knew another journalist who had happened to record the entire podcast on his lap. It's a little bit hazy-wazy, but you can hear everything. And I said, you know what? I'm going to play it here for you so that you can hear what ARI said.
I wonder if you could tell us about a little bit of a mess that I gather you've been involved in.
Oh, yeah.
I know where you're going with this one. Do you have notes on it?
Oh, yeah. Those are the two things I said to myself, this could come up.
Okay, listen notes. So I have to admit, I don't keep up that much on Hollywood. But even I caught wind of the Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds. Let the record show for those listening at home, Ari just slit his throat.
I mean, it's like a bad situation that Baloney, whatever his name is doing. And it's awful.
Now, he was your client too.
Until I fired him.
Right.
Did you hear that? Until I fired him. So Ari says that he's come here and he has his notes. In other words, he has prepared, because I can actually understand if you're coming to a podcast and you're the CEO of the agency and your children are quarreling and it's all over town, somebody would ask you. Why wouldn't they ask you? So I can understand that you have been prepared. I can understand that, and it is fair for you to be prepared. I just feel that it would have been a situation where you would have said, yes, this is ongoing. I know Ryan, I know Blake, I also just really getting to know Justin. I cannot comment on it really because I don't know what happened on set. I'm hoping that everything turns out, and as a matter of fact, some way, shape or form that we can settle this. That would have been the big mature answer, because you see, this is giving me that mother who doesn't see anything wrong with their child, and yet that child is the ringleader baddie in school. But she doesn't see it. She's blind to it. It's the other kids that are bad, that have influenced my children. My son is the best. On top of which, it also tells me the hierarchy, even in a top agency like WME. Why? Because you know what? It's giving me the visuals of Blake and come in and they get to speak to Ari. Justin Baldoni doesn't get to speak to Ari. He's still on the lower food chain. He hasn't proved himself because of what? Because of money. And he categorically said, I fired him. Because the host, I think, was a little bit taken aback. But isn't he your client? The way you're talking, Justin Baloney, don't you know his name? Isn't he your client? And he came up with that arrogance and said, I fired him. He's not my client. I don't know him. I don't choose to know him. I fired him. And that's exactly what Justin had in his lawsuit. I lost my agent because of this. But Justin, baby, I want to tell you, your big sister's talking to you now. Yeah? Listen to me. This agency was never for you. And I already know that the way he spoke about you, this is how he treated you or talked about you or felt about you behind the scenes before this even came up. Ari comes off as somebody who is very cocky, very arrogant, and does not have time for people like Justin, who has the Baha'i religion. He looks at that as weak. The way that he spoke in this interview, that is how it came off to me. So Justin, you've lost nothing. They've only shown you their hand. Okay, let us continue.
You know, just give a little bit of a backstory. It's not really fair. I've known Ryan and Blake for over a decade. They're really incredible people. In Hollywood, they have been incredibly successful. People work with them. They've never had any bad mojo up there and treat people badly. They kind of are charitable, could help them with their foundation. They give them tons of money away.
They're giving tons of money away. It's not really fair. They're really good people. I've known them for decades. That's fair to say, if that were the case. And I am fast believing now that I'm not going to believe mainstream media, and I don't believe what is put out there. What is put out there is curated, and it is a narrative that works for them. Because we have Kirsty Floor, and her interview was glaringly obvious to me that Blake Lively has no respect or regard for anybody. Because to have that gall to behave in that disparaging fashion doesn't come on a first time. That's somebody who is used to the way that they have been behaving and treating people. And because it's money, 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 that's all ARI cares about. It's unfortunate because Justice is a gold mine. He's a genius. He will bring in more money to anybody than these two have ever done. It Ends With Us was 25 million to make. They grossed in over 350 million. I say this because the world has changed and people still don't see it. It's so bizarre to me, but I see it sure as I'm sitting here wearing this beautiful kimono. We had publicists, we had magazines, we had NBC, ABC, CBS, all these mainstream networks that fed us information, and it was controlled until social media kind of sort of came in and took over. And guess what? We are thinking for ourselves. We are voicing out what we are thinking. And guess what? 2 and 2, the last time I checked, is 4. It's not adding up. And that's the struggle of control here with these agencies, because you know what? There will come a time when WME will be obsolete. Repeat after me. You're not going to need the agents because talent will begin to represent themselves. We're not going to need them because you're going to be a one-man show. Why? Because I do it here on my channel. I do my hair, I do my makeup, I do my wardrobe, I do my research, I do my editing, I do my promos, I negotiate my own deals. I don't need nobody. Yes, I don't need anybody. And that is the problem that's going on here. Even ARI cannot believe that he has to sit down here and do this. But he promised whom? None other than Blake and who? Ryan. And I'll tell you why. Because he was meeting up with them after this. What are you talking about, Fumi? Well, let's play it on.
If what is alleged in her lawsuit that happened on social media, just because she complained to the studio that things were unhealthy on the set, that he was director and this man was the producer, and they did to her what they're being alleged, they're really bad people.
Do you know what I don't like about this? It tells me that he completely took Blake's side. He believed Blake. For him to say, oh, you know, if what they say that is true. But you did believe that is true. That's why you fired Justin. And it tells me now, I don't even think that Justin got the opportunity to speak with you. You didn't even listen to what he had to say. And this leak footage is going to bite you because it ends with Blake. It ends with Ryan. And you are going to be dragged down as well with it. You thought that you were doing the right thing. You have no idea of what is going on. Because these are your little children that bring all the little goodie sweets. It's the kids that do well in school. You know, they do well in school. They're very clever. But they are mean little children. And the parents don't see past the success of their grades in school. So they think that they are perfect. But no, they're little monsters. And you entertain it. You could have been the daddy. You could have been the daddy and said, Blake, I love you. Ryan, I love you. You know what? Let's wait on this for a minute. I cannot, not that I'm saying that you're telling lies. Let me listen to what he has to say. There has to be a medium here. Because with all of the evidence that has come out, you can see that you have been harboring little monsters. You've known them for 10 years. They're good people. You have not categorically said one good thing about Ryan or Blake. Only that you've known them for 10 years. They give you money. They donate a lot of money. It's related to money. The very money that if you had opened up your eyes, then you would have been able to see that in actual fact, the goose that is laying the golden egg is Justin.
And Blake, I know Blake. I know Ryan. They're actually good people. Now, social media is a really good thing at times because it lets people, stars, connect with their fans. But these two guys used it in an evil way, if that's true. And we just have to be cognizant that we can root. And they should no longer be out there intimidating people, using social media now and trying to hurt them. And
they should not use social media to hurt them. Social media can be very good, and also it can have, its negative side. I agree, 1,000,000,000%. But why are you here, Ari? You are here because of Blake. Because Blake drew first blood. Because Blake went to the New York Times with lies, with a cherry-picked ensemble of texts and emails. And the whole thing hit the fan from there. And what happened was TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, sleuths, mummy bears picked up on it. Blake said that she has dragons, that she's got dragons and she is Khaleesi. She underestimated the situation because Justin has millions of dragons, with me being number one. I am so invested in this case. I want to see justice for Justin, for all the other Justins that never got a chance, because it is showing me that all of this here is a horse and pony show. It's the bully that keeps on bullying and keeps on gobble. You swallow up other companies. It is actually disgusting. And Ari sincerely thought that he was doing the right thing. But it also tells me that behind the scenes, don't worry, we'll say this, we'll hush it up and it'll go. He's nobody. Forget about him. Let him go back to wherever he came from. Not this time.
And using their what they have been doing prior to it now to go against them, they should just stop since they think they're innocent and let the process play itself out. These are good people that have been in the business for decades and have never had any bad press about them, and all the people they work with like them.
What a lie. What a lie. People have stories about them. The thing is, the world has changed. And now we get to hear them because they were hushed up. They were covered up. Blake misfired. She misfired. She thought that Justin was responsible for the bad press. She really did. Whereas we had Chastity Floor on the other side of town, minding her own business, and she got triggered because she saw Blake in a Woody Allen movie that had just been released, and decided to release the interview that she did, press junket, from 2016, and put it up onto her YouTube channel. She just did. No rhyme or reason. She didn't know anybody. She didn't have anything to do with whatever was beginning to simmer to the top. Because, and I say this as fact, our Father Jehovah up above is the architect of us all. And he's ending all of this in Hollywood by ending it with Blake Lively. Blake Lively was the one that pulled that string, that one string, and the whole bag went belly up. This is the same ARI, EMANUEL, who let go of Justin. He didn't even hear what Justin has to say, but he still represents Diddy. Diddy, whose lawyer said, I can no longer continue. On my good conscience, the lawyer said, I no longer represent you, Diddy. ARI EMANUEL represents Diddy. That goes to tell you that you can't even eat the soup in the pot. It's so filthy that you're going to die. Not only will you be sick, you'll die.
Yeah. And so, is this true what they're saying in that allegation? These are two bad guys.
This concerns the making of a film where there's sex scenes, and there's, I guess, what is called in Hollywood an intimacy coordinator. They didn't have in English.
And then they went after him on social. It's disgusting.
Can I just say this is very juvenile, but when I first read that, and I knew I was going to be talking to you, I was trying to picture like ARI Emmanuel on set as an intimacy coordinator. Is that a role, a job? Maybe?
No, I mean, it is actually not a joke. I mean, that's actually an important role. She felt that she was not being protected. She complained, and then these people tried to go after her.
When he says that these are not two good people, he's talking about Jamie Heath and Justin Baldoni. This intimacy coordinator is very true and alive in majority of films, even when I was on set. Blake had an intimacy coordinator of which she did not want and did not meet up with. Let's just start with the correction right there. Ari, in his rush to defend his clients that he has known for 10 years, he did not know that they actually threw him into the lion's den, because he will get all of these facts after the fact, of which will be too late, because we had a journalist who used his phone technology. I live for it. And he recorded the whole thing. And lo and behold, the host, who was so sad and upset that we lost the audio, we lost the video. Oh my God. No, that was not the case. There were journalists there and we got the whole shebang. And so you're talking about it's really important because she felt harassed. Why did she not go to Screen Actors Guild, also known as SAG? Why did she not go? I'll do the SAG red carpet. I will. I got some stuff exciting for you. Why did she not go to SAG? I tell you why she didn't go. Because they would have shut down the production. They would have shut down the film, of which she did not want. She wanted to create a trail. There's a trail, there's a bloodbath. We can see all of the dots and we can connect A to B, B to C. That was what she wanted, because that was the clause in the It Ends With Us, Colleen Hoover, the contract that she had with Justin Baldoni. In the event that there's any essay, we can retract. They wanted it. Of course they wanted it, because we're going to have sequels. This was going to be her big aha moment since what? Gossip Girl. And even on Gossip Girl, I have a couple of people here and there telling me Homegirl was a hot mess over there too.
They should stop. And they're still trying to do us. And they should stop.
And what was your role? Did you fire them?
I fired them. I'm a ride or die. And they're good people.
Yeah. All right. I know you have a plane to get on. Do you want to tell us where you're going, by any chance?
I'm going to the 50th anniversary of SNL.
He was going to SNL, where Blake was on the red carpet wearing a fabulous dress, and Ryan was also there and made a joke about the whole shebang. These are the kind of people that Justin is up against. I just think about the injustice of it all. About the injustice of it all. They would have destroyed this man, and then they would have made him a pariah on top of stealing from him. It's just not gonna fly. All right, my darlings, do not forget to like, to subscribe, and I will be back tomorrow. Thank you for all of the information that you guys are sending to me. Thank you. I am so grateful, and keep them coming, okay? All of my love. Don't forget to like, to subscribe, hit the notification button, and I'll see you what? I'll see you sooner than later.